Welcome again, Dodici here, December 2015, last month of the year. Thanks for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk about astrology and the dangers. Yep, astrology is a dangerous thing. Call me a revisionary astrologer, because I'm departing now from the typical push to convert everyone to astrology, mainly because my experience over 35 years is that not everyone, but a lot of people who are addicted to astrology do so at their own peril. Astrology is not a crutch. It's not to be used as a substitute for your own individual self-empowerment and decision-making processes. I remember the story of Peter Sellers, the famous English actor and comedian, who was absolutely, just completely addicted to visiting psychics, astrologers, clairvoyants, this sort of thing. He wouldn't go a day without consulting someone to find out, whether this was going to happen, whether it was safe to travel, whether it was, going to be a successful meeting, so on and so forth. And the movie about Peter Sellers' life is quite an interesting one, with Geoffrey Rush playing the lead role, and that gives you an insight into the chaotic life that Peter Sellers had, and that typifies many lives. Hopefully not yours or mine, but there are periods where we go through doubt, and we use astrology. We look at the horoscope, our sun signs, to find out what's happening, and whether things are going to improve, whether we're going to turn the corner, what our destinies or fate happen to be. But I say it's dangerous because if I could use an example of these superbugs that have emerged in hospitals now, directly as a result of the huge amount of antibiotics that we use. So what happens there is that the body's immune system just sort of gives up. Why do I need to combat any foreign bodies coming into my system when I've got antibiotics? It's, maybe a weak sort of example, but I think you get the point that if you're consistently relying on an astrologer, on this means of gaining an insight into what's happening, relying on someone else to tell you what decision to make. And I'm astounded at the number of people that come to me asking me, should I marry him? You don't have to be a genius, or an astrologer for that matter, to say no. Why would you marry him if you've got any doubt? I mean, why are you coming to someone else, a third party, to give you some sort of certitude about your own feelings, which are completely uncertain and doubtful? And when I answer them like that, they say, aren't you going to look at the horoscope? I say, why do I need to look at a horoscope to tell you that you shouldn't marry this person? If you've got that much doubt at the outset of your relationship, I mean, God forbid what's going to happen in 20, 30 years' time. You're not going to make it 20 or 30 years. Look, there are certainly areas that astrology can address, but I believe the true function of an astrologer is to use the horoscope to see those fractures in the personality, those weaknesses, those parts of life that need strengthening, not for the purpose of giving accolades to the astrologer, but for the purpose of empowering the person to not need an astrologer. I mean, you don't go to a doctor so you can keep going back to the doctor. You'd hope that if you visit a doctor, he's going to give you some sort of correct diagnosis and some treatment plan so that you don't have that problem anymore. And unfortunately, in my profession, we have it saddens me to see what's happened with astrology. And I talk about this a lot, the fact that we've been demoted as a a first-class science, and it is a science, although the skeptics will argue with that. More on that later. But the point is, I agree with them to some extent that we have disintegrated as a body of knowledge. There's just no cohesion. There are different systems all over the place. There's no replicable studies that are being done, and I think that the onus is on astrologers to do that, not simply go out there and offer their services for large amounts of money without doing some sort of research to build the reputation of the study back up to its historic glory. It has really lost its way. Yet here we are, having lost our way as helpers of the people, trying to lead people when we're lost ourselves. And to be honest with you, the majority of astrologers and psychics that I've met they've read a book and they're world famous psychics. They've studied for 3 or 4 months. And I was so amused by that I pretty much withdrew my presence from any of the forums and sort of conferences where, it was like just a gaggle of geese regurgitating all this stuff behind me. Just books and books and books of stuff that's been handed down from one astrologer to another without any research, without any real understanding of it, and it does sadden me. It pisses me off, actually, which is why I guess I'm referring to myself as a revisionary astrologer now. I want to revise a lot of this stuff, and we can't have vision without revision. That vision is something that comes from within. It is, to a large extent, an intuitive component of human nature, and the really great astrologers, the ones that stand apart, the ones that give good readings, they have a foundation in technique, but it's like great jazz musicians. They have a great foundation in the technique of music, but their improvisational skills, which rely on an intuitive response to the moment, it's something that doesn't come from reading books. So that's why I say revisionary, and why I say astrology is dangerous. It is really, really dangerous. It is as dangerous as some of these fundamental religions. We need to step away from this, dependence on things outside ourselves. We need to understand that astrology has to be reflective. The horoscope has to be used as a mirror to be held up to each and every one of us, to see what it is we need to do to become healed, to become self-sufficient, to become independent, to become productive individuals on this path of life, and to become self-empowered by what an astrologer is revealing to us. That's probably one of the most frustrating aspects of my job. Sitting here, trying to convey meaning to a person whose brain, whose level of evolution is not capable. I'm not sort of condescending here. I'm being honest. It's like going to the local pub and pulling out a book by Bertrand Russell on high-level philosophy. They're just not going to be interested in that. There's just going to be no interest. You're better off talking to a brick wall. So I'm not condescending, but I'm saying a practicing astrologer, professional consulting astrologer, has to immediately, by snapshot, understand the grade of the client that they're dealing with. And it's a bit of a difficult line to tread, because at the same time we're trying to give the client value for money. mostly to empower them. But if they're not at that level where they can be empowered, feel empowered, the astrologer has to have some very, very smart, sharp psychological tools to give them what they want, which is, oh, what's going to happen to me next week? Am I going to travel? Am I going to get that job? Well, yes, these are questions the astrologer should answer, but that is the superficial level. How do we get down into the depths of the psychology of this individual asking these questions to give them the tools they need to go through life without leaning on an astrologer, on this study as a crutch? That's the crux of the biscuit. That's the difficult question. And that doesn't happen easily. And if any of you out there are studying astrology, it is something even after 30 odd years of practice that I'm finding is not easy. When you get to a point where you have some professional credibility, I guess like me now, you can quickly size up someone, and if money's not your main motivation, which it shouldn't be, then you can respectfully decline to do the reading, which I do on quite a few occasions. Look, there's no point in reading for someone if they're not going to be satisfied, firstly, with what you're telling them. Secondly, if they're going to begrudgingly part with the money that is your fee. Thirdly, if they're going to go and badmouth you and drag your reputation through the mud. So, to me it makes sense. No one's going to benefit from a reading like that. And these days all I do is pray that the type of people that come to me are not only interested in what's happening in their lives, we have to address those issues, but they're genuinely interested in becoming self-empowered, elevating themselves to a position where they can truly make decisions for themselves in harmony with the knowledge of the planets, the environment, nature, karma, this sort of thing. That awareness is really the principal focus of my astrology as a revisionary astrologer. And if that's where you're coming from or want to be coming from, then by all means drop me a line, or feel free to make some inquiries as to how we can get together and start working on that part of your life. I'd be absolutely more than happy to accommodate you. I'm going to get on now with the 12 star signs, which seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? I do try to throw in my 2 bobs worth on how you can empower yourself while at the same time listening to what I'm going to tell you is the likely upcoming trend for this month and subsequent months. So hang in there, be patient with me. It's not easy revising the whole process of astrology and coming at it from a different perspective, but I know you'll extend me that latitude, and I thank you for that, and I look forward to your company more. Don't forget astrology.com.au, a lot of more information there, spiritual astrology, Vedic astrology, the Western astrology, so on and so forth. Take care. See you in a moment on your star sign. Bye.